I celebrate my versatility now. I celebrate the time that I sang in choirs. I celebrate the time that I've worked in or playing various instruments or in orchestras. I celebrate like what I knew, what I didn't know, and what I now know. Do you know, like about my vibrato?
To rise up as storm clouds, storms, loud showers, while they shiver in corners, hide, cower. Why? My horn, my power. My horn, my power.
Hello, we're chatting all things Folklore Chapter to Ekuseni with Pilani Bubu. He is a storyteller, a singer, songwriter, TV presenter, founder and director of the Folklore Festival. Pilani Bubu, thank you for having me. I'm Poppy Ntshongwana. Let's chat everything Folklore Chapter 2.
Let's do this.
My horn, my power. My horn, my power. It's been way too long hanging on the tree to dry.
I'm wondering, as a creative, as someone who's always kind of channeled this space for themselves, just in terms of collaborations, how you pick the people that you work with, especially from a musical perspective, because they can make or break your music. The same way at one stage you were a collaborator for RJ Benjamin, and you could have made or, broke his song. How do you decide who you're going to make music with?
There's definitely a certain essence, right? I mean, working with RJ, I wanted a certain soul, conversion, and understanding also of crossover. I mean, I first met with him on my first project. He was like, oh yeah, let's do this female version of Lenny Kravitz. I was so pop rock then. It's so wild. We loved pop rock. Avril Lavigne.
Then taking us back
to university.
Wow.
Anyway, shifting forward, when I was in my sort of big brass phase, obsessed with New Orleans, obsessed with Motown Soul, I worked with someone who just understood that space, and we kind of arranged the music to make sense in the funk. There's always a lot of guitar in my music. I don't know, it's kind of that instrument that really invokes and provokes a lot in me. So there's always that, just always trying to find that core collaborative guitarist as a lead instrument, to the point where I'm so scared to it scares me to learn the guitar to a state, because it's I'll never be as good as the people I respect.
Sure.
But in terms of I didn't collaborate a lot, let's say, in project 1 and 2, and Folklore Chapter 1, it was about the poets and extended storytellers that could help me tell the story and not be the singular voice. So Lebu Muchudi was the spoken word artist, and and in this new chapter, Vangile, as a poet, I've always wanted to work with her and her understanding of the space, and her being Ekrecha as well, and just being able to hear me out on everything and write and share something that would just hit it right at the epicenter. I mean, I would say her song, her poem Emhlabeni, oh man, is just so lock-key center of the message. And then in Nkathazo Abantwana, Bekam Tetwa is the bassist, the Zulu bassist that I always work with. He does the best Zulu guitars, man. I saw him once at the Orbit, and I was like, I just can't finish those kinds of songs without him. Do you know? Leo Mile and Monei as folk artists who tell their indigenous stories of the Venda people and Kolosuthu, just, watching their journey and us all kind of doing the same thing. And I invited them onto this project to contribute from that perspective as folklorists as well, who are interested in preserving our culture and our stories, and who are, I guess, deeply connected to that. So Moyali Badimu Leo Mile just kind of came and asked her to come on that song. Munei comes on to Tafa Elibanzi, and he sings in Venda and describes how he journeys home, Kamukope, these corn cobs, and how you can map these pathways home. And his first album was about his grandmother, and there was these kind of identity pieces. And so he describes so beautifully his sense of home, this journeying home. And it's funny because my dad used to peel an orange and say, I'm mapping you the road home. So he really captured it in song. And then other voices feature, I chose Randa Kokwana as a trumpeter because I felt that he had the contemporary essence that I wanted, that wasn't going to be too progressive, that could have some kind of South Africanness. He almost has that hue-ness. He did a jazz songbook, a South African jazz songbook. Yeah. Leander Madope, his keys are very South African jazz thing. You hear in Ekuseni a very Abdullah essence, a different essence, and then different voices. Leander also sings on the tracks in Nkathazo. He just understood the mission. He's so free.
Jam. Can I call your songs jams?
You know, I do have like,
to them.
babe, when I say I can't lose the poppiness in my hooks. Poppy! Because like, you know how it is. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying not to be a pop artist, by the way.
Sure.
I'm just like obedient in some way,
Letting it
authentic
be.
to the thing,
Yeah.
the way it comes. But I'm sure one day when there's like a collective team in the studio, they'll just like be like, oh, cool, that's great. Now let's shift.
Yeah.
But we have remixes for that. But yeah, I've jams, boom, che, jam. Abandona, jam. There's always got to be a sing-along.
For sure.
Yeah.
I was singing along to everything. I always listen to music for the first time. It's been a while since I've actually listened to an album the way I listened to yours. And it was because, obviously, who you are in my life, but also because I always rate an album according to whether I can listen to it in the car and sing along and not want to change and skip. Big criteria of mine. If I can listen to it while I'm running, there's certain albums you cannot listen to babe, it puts you off. This is an album. And then I was so scared. I don't know why I was scared. Don't judge me, friend, to listen to it before I fell asleep the other day. Because I was like,
she's going to dream.
It's so deep.
And you know, you've cleared all your pathways now. You're so open.
I was literally like, not when I'm going to sleep, God. let me leave this. And then the other time was just because I was going through the track selection and you're kind of attaching the meaning to it, everything that you've written. And I was just like, it's a different experience every single time. But the one thing that was core to your message was just an awakening of sorts and just a celebration. That's what I got from your music.
Yeah.
What are you hoping people are going to connect with in your music? In Folklore Chapter 2.
Man, that's exactly it. The awakening. And Ekuseni, it's the wake. You've just hit the nail on the head, because when you wake in the morning, and what I describe in the poem is to see through a lens that is enlightening. And that's why I talk about the moon and the sun. And how the moon will make way for the sun.
Sure.
And that we can see through those eyes, and also to just wash away yesterday's troubles or sorrows, and to allow ourselves to become and to reimagine ourselves and to birth ourselves again. I also do hope that they can celebrate with me, just as a personal journey where we are, for those who are following, but also to use my journey as a reflection and resonance. Like I said, I think my gift, I was talking to a friend who's a photographer and works with the visual medium, but also, you know, utrasile, and talking about how our different mediums are different. I'm an articulator.
Yeah.
Do you know, I what I do is I try, just describe in ways that can allow a younger generation, people like myself, to adopt, understand expressions of stuff that it's sacred, but also it has become taboo and secret through the demonization of African spirituality, colonialism, just how we've kind of moved forward, do you know, and finding ways to kind of stand for that. So I want people to find an accessibility of African spirituality through this project, but also just fundamentally summing it up. For me, it's about how the African child navigates their purpose and their calling. And that is fundamentally always for us driven by community, by the people who came before us, living and the dead. You know, living ancestors are also crucially important. I talk a lot in the song Abandona about intergenerational dialogue and prioritizing that. I want people to have firesides, to, you know, hang about. My dad started calling the fire at the house every time in winter. Guys, you folklore. So we'd go to the fire and we'd sit around the fire. My parents were storytellers. I want that sense of community and sense of family values and a value system, an African value system that we can return to, that allows us to carry our folklore forward, folk tales, jokes, proverbs, everything inclusive that we can learn, you know, in the process. So those are my hopes.
You're doing a good job of creating this new way of us celebrating who we are and just journeying back to where we come from and using that to propel us forward. Thank you so much for your time, for this masterpiece, and just for, I guess, sharing your journey and enlightening us, because, girl, I would never have said 20 years ago. It's been about 20 years we've been friends, eh?
Yeah.
That this is where you would have been and where I am.
I know.
So let's go back to 6-year-old Pilani. What is she saying now in this moment to herself as we wrap things up?
Man, 6 years old is very intricate to go back to, because they say that life is a process of remembering, and everything that we search for and our purpose and our calling is just remembering back. And I remember 6-year-old Pilani knew, and she understood and saw these gifts. Maybe slightly OCD, had more nightmares than I had positive dreams when I was younger, and I would do like the weirdest things. But I would say now I'm so glad that, you know, I opened my eyes so that I could truly see that which I've already known and always have known.
The indelible storyteller, Ms. Pilani Bubu. Folklore Chapter 2, Ekuseni, to many, many more chapters in your life, Pilani. Thank you.
Thank you, Poppy.
Kusile, inyanga yohlulwe lilanga. Kusile, uzavuka ungavuswanga. Kusile, ilanga liphuma.